Okay.
There we go.
Yay.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Pat Kurtner. I've been the website person since I left the board. And I was on the board like 3 or 4 times doing, I think I was president for a stint and I was communications director for a couple. I've also worked on the show website, but not recently. So the topic of this meeting is the website request form. So what we're not going to talk about is the show website. So if you came here thinking this was about the show website, you can hang out, but you don't need to, except for Liz. So we do have a website page for the show on the MQ site. However, it has a really short lifespan, and it's pretty much when we find out about contracts and hotels until the main show site goes up. And once that happens in like January or mid-December or whenever that is, then we stop using the one on the website and it doesn't get updated and it dies until after the show. And then it's just the link to the show so people can find the awards and stuff like that. So what this will be about is how to fill out the form for website request for the MQ site. And not everybody needs to do that. Some volunteers have one or more pages that they kind of own. But for the most part, it's events that we tend to put up, short-lived things like classes, workshops, retreats, things like that. The garage sale was one. So let's start by oh, okay. I'm going to start by sharing the website because then you'll get some kind of idea. There. Uh-oh, share. Okay, so this is the website, and I can't see everything because it's covered with Zoom bits. So this is the main page on the website. And if you're not familiar with it, we have pull-down menus that have various things on them. This is all about the show, which I need to refresh because we took the 2024 show off today. This is also kind of show, but since sponsor for a year or so, that's that lasts. Getting involved. So membership has a page, basically all about membership. The directory, these 3 things, or these 2 things actually send you off to Cvent to log in. So we do have information about individual and business memberships, and the business member listing is just, Deborah mostly keeps that up to date as the business members pay their yearly fee. Linda handles the volunteer opportunities. This one goes right to Sign Up Genius. This is the kind of like donation page, donations being money, time, and goods. Quilting for Others has a lot of stuff about their work days and the patterns that they're making, the different patterns for baby quilts and napkins and placemats and stockings and stuff like that is out there. MQP has a whole bunch of stuff. This was left over from a lecture, but most of this got copied right from the other website. Quilter Stories is really interesting. And the other thing that MQP takes care of is not under theirs. It is over here, and it's the MQ Quilt Collection. And if you went into the MQP booth at the show, there were several quilts in there that had QR codes that would take you to one of the collection pages for whatever quilt. There was like a Winter Fantasy or something like that. The activities and events is more for the, so Deborah takes care of the mystery and the guilds directory. The event schedule is really an education thing, although Deborah keeps track of the actual calendar. This is not like kept twice. This is like pulled in from the Google Calendar. So this is she set up a MQ public Google Calendar, and that's what shows up here. So these are all, like the staff meetings won't be on here, but all the QFO stuff, all of the days you're closed, things like that. So we don't keep track of that. And then the rest of the stuff is just kind of general information that education technically owns, but we hardly ever have to update it. If we say, for instance, if we change the link to register for a Zoom meeting, we would have to fix that. If they decided it was going to be $11, we'd have to fix that. So most people don't really have pages. And even right now, the 2025 show, like I said, is just basic where it is, when it is, who was the faculty that at the time had signed contracts. And then because St. Cloud takes care of all the hotels, we just have a link to their website. And then a little bit about joining the show committee because we love our volunteers. And I helped Deborah add a picture from that. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that and then we'll move along. Oh, wait, let me, one more thing, dang it. Share that. Okay, so just so you're familiar with the terminology, I think when I talked to Sarah Parker, we kind of reworded a few things. And so a lot of things like about MQ or the newsletters or, you know, the membership page, they're pretty static. And, you know, unless we change the amounts or the, you know, days we're meeting or something like that, there's not much change. What shows up on the homepage is more fluid, other than the welcome from the president, is like the upcoming events are going to change. So now that it's December, we're showing information about the January meetings. We also have the mystery quilt information for next year. And as soon as Deborah gets it finalized, we'll have a post about all of the in-town retreats, because we're just going to have like one page for that, and it'll just list them all as we go and have links to sign up, links to volunteer, stuff like that. And then we have a class coming up in January. So the stuff only gets here when people send it to me. So if something's happening and you don't see it, it's because it didn't get to me to put here. So these are, I think we call these like, possibly we call them the preview information. So this is just really brief, a picture to catch people's eye, basic information about what and when, and then a little bit here. So right now the meetings, we don't have a speaker or anything like that, so it doesn't really say a whole lot. But here we have, that's pretty much all the information we like to say. So we're saying here it is, who's it by, when it's going to happen. Okay, so then let's click on the mystery quilt page, and then it takes us to the whole page where you have oodles more information than will fit in that tiny little box. So this is kind of like a stub just to give people some idea. And if they want to find out more about the membership meeting in January, then they can find out what it's all about. So it's really all about the show, and not everybody knows that. But okay, now I'll stop sharing that and move along to the form. So just keep that in mind, because I may need to refer to them without actually switching to them. Okay. So here's the form. And for those of you that have filled it out in the past, which would be Linda, I don't think Laura has filled it out. Let me see who else. I think Regina has seen it, but hasn't filled one out, hasn't needed to. And Merle maybe has seen it too. Okay, so it used to be a really long form with 4 big sections. And basically what we were trying to do was be able to capture all the information we needed for the different kinds of things. And I think that mightily confused people. They didn't know what section to fill out. There was a lot of information I was asking for that they didn't think they needed to provide. And so we said all along that that was just going to be version 1. And so now we're coming to version 2, and it's been a little streamlined based on feedback from people. And even if they didn't personally give me feedback, I could tell by the way they were filling out the form what the feedback would have been if they had sent me an email. So it's like somebody's putting something in the wrong section because maybe I didn't describe it very well. So I've got the thing down to just one section, one category, and then you can fill in whatever it is you've got as much as you have. So the first thing is contact information, and you can send me your committee email, an MQ email, your personal email, whatever. But if I need to contact you about something, that's how I need to get a hold of you. And you could put in more than one email if you want, but I do need to know who's sending it to me. Who filled out the form is not necessarily the person that's that's asking for the information. It's like, oh, could you fill that form out for me? So I hardly ever call people on the phone because I hate to talk on the phone. And my phone's almost always dead anyway. So email is the best way to get in touch with me. I have my iPad with me almost all the time. So if you send me an email, I will get it at website at mnquilt.org. Okay, so Karen put this in, and so this I think is kind of like a key phrase. When you want to put something on the website, you have to figure out who you're writing it for. You're not writing it for me, you're writing for the general public. And when you're writing about something, you want to pretty much tell them what you're writing about. So why should they even care to read this? Are they supposed to do something? So this is basically, we're having a class on Sunday with such and such a person. That's good enough. I'm writing it for the person who might want to come to the class. I'm telling you when it is, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's just basically contact information. Then we get into the meat of the form. And this part is kind of a little bit housekeeping. Is this a new page? And if you remember, pages are things that you get to from the menu. And I'm not going to make a distinction between pages and posts because you guys don't make distinctions between pages and posts. So anything that shows up on the website all on one page is a page. So I need to know if it's a new one or not. And if it's new, what do you want to call it? And if it's not new, you need to tell me what it is. And if it is new, I need to know where you want it. So if it's something about membership, you probably want it somewhere near membership. If it's some new page about something we've never had before, I need some idea of where you think it should belong. And that might be negotiable because a lot of times people think it belongs someplace, but maybe it belongs someplace else. And one of the things that comes up like that is the guilds directory. So it's not really an MQ thing. It's just kind of like a nice thing we do for guilds. So it's not really about MQ, and it's not an MQ activity. It's more like just something that we've got out there. So something like that, if you insist that it belongs under an MQ type heading, I would say probably not. So just give me your best guess where you think it would belong. And I honestly, we're not getting a whole lot of new pages. So if you think you want a new page, that might be something we could discuss. It could maybe go on something else, but we want to keep the pages kind of compact without a lot of like 5 different topics on them. Okay, so the next thing is really only relevant to, well, maybe not. So, well, basically what I'm saying is, you know, I will post it as soon as I can after you send it to me, unless you tell me not to. So sometimes somebody will have something out there and say, you know, I got this already, but I don't want anybody to see it until January 1st. And I need to know that because otherwise it'll go out there today. And generally I can set it to come up to just appear any date, anytime. And this is another thing, is that not everything is relevant forever. So for instance, the mystery quilt from 2023 is not relevant anymore. So we don't need to keep that page. So you need to tell me if you want this thing to go away, when you want it to go away. And it's usually like maybe Deborah can help me with this, like we just took something down. I think it was the mystery. When we get ready for the new mystery, we take the old one down because the Facebook group is still active. And this is another thing where I'm basically saying you don't really need to fill out. This is just kind of like a reminder. So that if it's an event like a workshop that has to show up on that MQ calendar, that's a picture of a calendar, then Deborah needs to know that because she's the owner of that calendar. And you can tell her and carbon copy me if you want to, because I also have access to put things on that calendar. But mostly Deborah does that because it's easier for just to keep it with one person. But if she's not around, I can do that in a pinch. Or if something's spelled wrong or something like that. Okay, so basically, so what we got so far is who's sending it to me, where does it go, and when do you want to see it? And the next part is pretty much, this is the content. So this is what people see. So the preview stuff is the stuff that shows on the front page, on the home page. So the content would be a short message, such as Susan Stein presents Sampler Adventures. You don't need to put the date in there because the date will always be in the heading. And so it'll say like membership meeting, January 7th, whatever. So you don't need to say that again down here and keep it short. The preview graphic is what displays the little picture that displays above it. And I like to keep these as small as I can. If you don't size it down, I'll get angry, but I'll size it down myself. But don't test my patience because I might not do it too many times for you. They don't need to be really high resolution because they're going to be shrunk down pretty small. On the home page, you can have only one graphic. So don't send me 3 pictures and say I want them all there, because unless you want to mush those 3 together and send them to me as one, I don't have the software to do that. And then primary content is when they click on it, they come to the page. The page has lots of information on it, more details. So this is just, these 2 things are like the teaser on the home page, and the rest of it is the meat of it. So this is where most of your information is going to go. And if you want links to things, you want 10 pictures, you want a gallery of pictures, whatever. If you want like a time counter or a little thermometer or a map to something, that's where this goes. You just tell me everything you want. You type it all in here. I don't always spell check, but sometimes Word does. Sometimes I'll see things and fix them. If there's a question, I'll ask. What I don't want, let's see if I see. So here's where you list the picture, the graphic files. So if there's JPEGs, PNGs, whatever, they'll go down there. So basically this is kind of like instructional. So if say there's a class and it has a handout, I think last month there was the lecture person had a handout. So if you want somebody to be able to download that handout, you have to send it to me separately and tell me what to call it. So say in here, it'll say blah, 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 blah. Click here for the handout or something like that. And then you have to tell me what the handout is. So this just, I say to list the name of the file here, because if you're sending me a bunch of attachments, I need to be able to separate them out. So this is another thing, is that when we have a hyperlink on the website, we don't put www.xyz.blah, blah, 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 / something, because it's so much easier just to have a word. If this word were hyperlink and they clicked on it, it would go to wherever I say it. It wouldn't say this includes a www. something, something, something. So you need to tell me what the hyperlink is, because depending on how you told me the information in here, it might not actually be a link in here. It could just be raw text, and I would need to know where the link goes, and that's where you would tell me here. Not everybody has this, but that's just good to know. The other thing is the graphic files, along with any attachments, need to be sent separately. Don't paste them in this box, because they lose resolution when you fill out the form. And when I try to take them out, it doesn't always work. I don't know what was going on. The first few times that Liz sent me something last year, I could not get the photos out, and it's just such a pain. I have to keep going back and forth, and people are busy and they can't, don't have time. And then it's 3 days later and I'm finally getting the picture. So I'd say list the names here. It'll be like giraffe photo, barn photo, and instructor name or something like that. And then I'll know what goes where. And the photos that you send me here one of those could also be the one that goes in the preview graphic. A lot of times there'll be a project and person, and then they'll put them both on the page. And then this is additional instructions is pretty much anything else you want to tell me about this that might be unclear. Because if anything is unclear, I will contact you. And especially if it's something that you want right away, or it's something that's going to happen tomorrow, I'm going to want to know. Okay, so basically that's it. We're down to, how many pages is this? I can't see. It's probably down to like 5 pages from 12 for. And just for help, this is the current menu structure. I'm going to get rid of that because that's not there. Oops, no, this one. get rid of that because that's not there anymore. So this is the current menu structure. So when I'm asking you on the first page, where does this go? You can say, oh yeah, I want it to go under activities and events after the mystery quill. Let's say, for instance, somebody decided to spin up the block of the month exchange like we used to have. That would go under here, and you'd say, I want a new page for block of the month, and I want it to go after the mystery quill, but before guilds directory. So something like that would possibly be a new page. Okay, well, that ends my part of things. So does anybody have any questions, concerns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Whoops.
This is Sandra Borgschatz.
Yes.
Um,
What do you do? Say, are you on the board?
I'm not on the board, no.
Oh, okay.
Is this I thought this was kind of open to everybody. No?
Okay, well, it's open to anybody that wants to make changes to the MQ website, but typically that's the board.
Okay. I guess
But
that
some of
wasn't
the-
clear.
Oh, that's all right.
But- So
Go ahead.
I will just indicate one thing. It is best practice to not have names. Like I think it was on page 2, you said to notify Deborah. Deborah could win the lottery. She's gone. Also, not everybody knows who Deborah is. It's
Okay.
important to
Yeah.
include full names. And if you like contact Deborah, blah, blah, at, and then list the contact information.
Okay.
You want
I
to
think-
eliminate the guessing game.
Well, what if I just said contact the office manager at blah, blah, blah? Because even her
Right,
name
yep.
isn't in the email.
Right, right. And
Okay.
that is actually preferable. You want to try to eliminate names.
Well,
whenever
we really don't
possible.
want Deborah to go anywhere. So once I put
No,
her
I know
name in
that.
here.
I know that. So, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note of that.
Okay, so since this is the board thing, and I wasn't aware of that, I'm going to bow out of the
Oh,
meeting.
no, do you have
and,
any other suggestions?
Um,
This is good.
It wasn't just a board thing. It was for anybody who wanted to learn about this process. So
Yeah.
you're more than
well,
welcome.
that's what I kind of
Yeah,
thought. So I thought I'll just watch for fun, you know.
okay. Well, it's kind of a mini tour of the website too, because
Right,
not
you're
everybody
right.
knows where
That's
things
good.
are.
That's good. That's good. That was about the only thing I had at the moment. So
Okay, well, that's a good one.
Thank you.
That's a good catch. Thanks.
Where
Pat,
do we
what,
find this form?
Oh, wait,
Oh,
I heard two people talking.
I just want to know where do we find the form when we want
Okay,
when we
wait,
need to fill it out?
I'm gonna stop sharing because,
Okay.
and I'm gonna not highlight me because then I can see who's talking. Move the spotlight. Okay, so who goes first?
Okay, so I just want to ask, where do we
Okay.
find the form? What do we,
Oh, there, that's a really good question. There is a copy of the form out there right now, but I've only given access to certain people. So I don't know if you're aware of the structure on the Google Drive, but there is a kind of high-level drive called MQ Public Access.
Okay.
And that's where we're going to keep the newsletters, job descriptions, things like that, that people out in the world might want to see, or that, we might want to give links to certain documents in there. Right now, I think it is on the website's Google Drive, the current version of the form. But I think I will put it in the public drive and just create a folder there for forms.
Okay.
And what I'll do is, rather than keep version 1, version 2, version 3, I'll keep myself with the version numbers and then just put the form out on the Google Drive. And then so anybody that needs access to it, it'll be public, but they'll need a link to it. So for instance, let's see, who's not on the board? Sue. If I sent Sue a link to a newsletter from, January of 2012, she'd be able to open it from the public drive. But if I'd said, everybody's got access to this, it might be hard. Although we did give access to the newsletters out on the website. So yeah, I'll put it in some public place and I will let you, Wendy, know where that is, and then you can disseminate. Okay.
all right, that sounds great.
Pat, my question was, what is your preferable like lead time? I mean, you don't want somebody to just say, oh, I need this up there tomorrow. I mean, so
Oh,
what?
I mostly get that. There's,
I know, but
the current
what would
form
you
says,
like?
if you don't say I want it immediately, everybody wants it immediately. I would say at least a day, because,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
while I am checking my email all the time, sometimes I don't have time to do it. And
Right.
if I'm out of town, I definitely don't. Although for some reason last week I had enough passwords with me that I was able to do the thing about the office being closed.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Oh, can't type.
What about, like if there's links to forms or Google Forms or anything, those we should put in right on that page? We don't have to send those separately, correct?
I'm not sure I follow. You mean an actual Google form that they fill out?
Yeah, like we want to put that, if we want to put a link on the website so that they like.
Oh, so you say, oh, we want you to fill out this survey, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you send me the URL to that form, then that would go in the like supplementary information, like in the text, you'd say, and we'd like you to fill out this Google form to tell us blah, blah, blah. And then the word Google form or whatever you say would be the link and it would take
So,
them
so
there.
it's primarily just photos and big attachments that you want sent separately.
Yeah, I need the links, the URL for the links just in a separate box, but any kind of attachment or photo needs to be in a separate file. And you can send them all as email attachments. That's fine.
Sarah's cat really wants her to know that the cat is there.
Oh, she should come zooming on Monday. We almost always have cat visitors. Hey, Merle. So I let Merle do a informal request earlier this year when right before the retreat they decided they were going to make those little Hemoport pillows. And so rather than having her fill out the form during the Zoom meeting, I went out and found the pattern and just updated the QFO page. So not every like if a guild comes in, nobody needs to fill out a form, but big stuff, yeah. And I know that Merle and Diane, neither one of them likes doing website-y things. So them, I'll give some people some leeway. Sarah, not you. Did you miss most of this or no?
Sorry, what?
Did you miss most of this? You weren't here when we started.
Yeah, I just got on here recently, but I like the new form that you came up with. It looks a lot easier to use, so I'm okay with
Okay.
that. But I
Well,
think
so
I'm
far, the only
okay
person
with
that's used it is Deborah. So I'm expecting something from Liz, possibly, but we'll talk about that some other time. I know you're really busy, but what I'd like is to have like we have the mystery post on the homepage. I would like something about like show hype. So it would just basically be not going off to CVent, but just say, here's some stuff about the show. And then we'd have a show page that had, links to everything else. But
Yeah,
we've
I like
talked
that
about-
idea a lot. Thank you. I would like access to that form as well because
Okay.
the faculty is slightly altered than what is listed currently. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who was in charge of keeping track of that list. So I'll put the form out and let Wendy know where it is, and then she'll give access to whoever needs it. I could just automatically give access to like the employees and board, and then you won't have to worry about them. Well, actually, never mind, because it's going to be in the public access. So you just need to send the link to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we could stop recording.
Oh, probably. Is that me?